1 provides that a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament. G says that if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his elections to Parliament to join another party or seek to remain in Parliament as an independent member. H reads, if he was elected as a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party. Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament mandatory places sole responsibility on the Speaker to communicate vacancy of the seat in Parliament. Order 18 reads as follows: the Speaker shall inform the House of the occurrence of a vacancy of the seat of a member under clause 1, B to E, G and H of Article 97 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. I also cited the Saturday 7th November 2020 precedent where a similar fact occurred, coincidentally involving the same Honorable Andrew Esiama Amoako. The then NPP Member of Parliament had gone to file his nominations for the December 2020 parliamentary elections as an independent candidate. Based on those facts, Honorable Andrew Esiama Amoako's party, the New Patriotic Party, the NPP, wrote to the then Speaker, Professor Reverend Mike Aaron Okwe, to communicate those facts. In that communication to the Speaker, the NPP indicated that Honorable membership of the New Patriotic Party. This led to his immediate removal from the Parliament by Right Honorable Professor Reverend Mike Aaron Okwe, the then Speaker of Parliament. Right Honorable Mike Aaron Okwe concluded that Article 97(1) automatically kicked in without the need for any court order. Indeed, no one legally questioned his decision. My statement drew some comments from the floor as allowed by the standing orders of this House. After listening to the comments of members, which often turned into argument, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, requested for 2 days to ponder over the statement, comments and argument that ensued to enable him give a considered response. On Tuesday, 17th October 2024, the Speaker responded to the statement and agreed that the facts contained in the statement were indeed true. This is because the notice of pool issued by the Electoral Commission of Ghana in respect of those constituencies confirmed that the said individuals had indeed engaged in the conduct alleged in my statement. On the basis of this fact, not being in dispute, Mr. Speaker proceeded to evaluate the circumstances and decided that their conduct breached Article 97(1)G and H. Pursuant to Order 18 of the Standing Orders, the Right Honourable Speaker communicated to the House the vacancies of the 4 seats. For the avoidance of doubt, the Speaker's decisions to declare the 4 seat vacant is lawful exercise of his responsibilities derived from the 1992 Constitution and the Standing Orders of Parliament. The effect of the Speaker's declaration is that currently we no longer have an independent Member of Parliament. The NPP has 135 members of Parliament only. The NDC has 136 members of Parliament, and there is no second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. This effectively alters the configuration of the 8th Parliament significantly. The NPP group in Parliament are now the Minority Caucus as defined by the relevant sections of Order 6 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. The Minority Caucus means members of the party or parties that have the second largest number of seats in Parliament. Honourable colleagues, the NDC MPs in Parliament now constitute the Majority Caucus in line with the Standing Orders of Ghana's Parliament. Yeah. Fellow countrymen and women, the NDC now constitute the Majority Caucus in this 8th Parliament. We will jealously protect our new majority status and will not bow, retreat, nor surrender our lawfully earned status. Yes. I repeat, fellow countrymen and women, the NDC now constitute the majority caucus in this 8th Parliament. We will jealously protect our newly majority status and will not bow, retreat, nor surrender our lawfully earned status. Yeah. We will also not abdicate our responsibility to the people of Ghana, no matter what. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will change this position. We are fortified that the proceedings of Parliament shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or placed out of Parliament. Any interference with the business of Parliament is unlawful, unacceptable, and shall be resisted. We have never hidden our position that we are in Parliament for the ordinary people of Ghana. It is indeed true that we will use our new majority numbers to benefit Ghanaians by introducing private members' bill to remove the e-levy and to reduce the suffering of the people of Ghana. Yeah. It is also true that we will use our new majority to remove the betting tax and other nuisance taxes. Yeah. Already, this NPP government has made Ghana a high tax regime, and that it is affecting the survival of businesses and the people of Ghana. We assure you that we will use our new majority to protect businesses and the people of Ghana, as we have always maintained. We are confident that the Right Honourable Speaker has acted fairly, firmly, and lawfully in a matter that is perfectly within his province. Speaker Bagbin has had a distinguished and unprecedented 32-year career in Parliament of Ghana. Right Honourable Alban Bagbin is a courageous and resolute leader. We stand with him, pledge our support, and urge him to protect the dignity and sanctity of the Parliament of Ghana. In the same vein, we call on Ghanaians to stand by the Speaker and resist oppressors' rule. From day one, we have not reneged on our fight for the people of Ghana. The opportune time has come, and we are determined to immediately commence the process to reverse the Kufuor-Bawumia mess and put our country back on track. The people of Ghana can count on us and be rest assured that the NDC majority will protect the interests of the people of Ghana. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leader, Majority Leader. We will now take questions from the media. Yes.
Thank you very much, Leader.
Yes,
Leader, my name is Kufuor from Joy News. So, Leader, on Friday, the Supreme Court on Friday unanimously ruled to stay.
I didn't get. Did you say the majority leader? I filled in the question to the majority leader.
Say leader. You said leader. Let him continue.
Address it properly.
So the Supreme Court of Ghana,
Yes.
The Supreme Court unanimously, 5-0 unanimously, stayed the ruling or the decision of the Speaker. Rightly so, some persons have criticized the decision of the Supreme Court. And we know that when the Supreme Court speaks, it is law until that same is set aside or vacated. On what basis, therefore, will NDC Group call itself majority when the Supreme Court has purported to set aside what Speaker Bagbin did last week?
Other questions? Yes, more questions. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Yes.
Right. My name is Simon Agena, the Dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps. Since the statement or the decision of the Speaker to declare those 4 seats vacant, NPP has finally admitted that Professor Michael Quay ruling was wrong. Why is the new majority pushing for a wrong precedent in Parliament?
Thank you. Let's get a third one, then we respond. Anyway, there's no hand up now, so we will take the response.
To the question about the purported directive of the Supreme Court to suspend a decision of Parliament, we are not aware of any law or any constitutional provision that enables anybody to suspend a decision of the Speaker in Parliament properly constituted. What we know is that under Article 2 of the Constitution and Article 130 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction to make a declaration as to whether or not an act is consistent or inconsistent with a provision of the Constitution. But to suspend a decision of Parliament or a directive of the Speaker in Parliament, we are not aware of the legal basis of a conduct like that. Be that as it may, we as parliamentarians act on the basis of communication coming to us from the Speaker. We don't hear things in the news and act on them, or cite copies of records of proceedings in any court on social media and act on them. We act on the basis of communication coming to us from the Right Honorable Speaker. And if that communication says we should walk into the sea, we walk into the sea. Because we listen only to the Speaker and nobody else in relation to the integrity, the legality, and the appropriateness of what has happened in the chamber of Parliament. So that is my brief response to you in terms of your question. And the second question, which relates to the precedent that has been set by Mike Okwe, and why we in the majority today will be seeking to benefit from that precedent. I will say that when Mike Okwe gave his ruling in 2020, there were many who disagreed with him, and there were many who benefited from that ruling. But when Speaker Bagwin responded to the statement made by our now majority leader, and went ahead pursuant to Order 18 to communicate the vacancy of the 4 seats. In responding, he made some comments also, and his commentary was so persuasive that even those of us who questioned the propriety of Mike Okwe's action in 2020 became convinced that indeed Mike Okwe was right. I'm one of those that in 2020 publicly disagreed with Mike Okwe. I believe it was because Mike Okwe did not articulate his position very well. And when Speaker Bagwin responded to the statement and communicated the vacancy of the seats, and in doing so made some statements, his arguments or his commentary in relation to Article 97 1G was very, very persuasive, very, very persuasive, especially his position that if Article 97 is applicable to the next Parliament, then it becomes a useless provision. It's not necessary. and those who provided for it in the Constitution could not have intended to engage in a useless exercise. So I can assure you that we are not convinced because Michael Kwe did it. We are convinced because we now see wisdom in the provision in the Constitution and the action of those who drafted our Constitution.
Yes, thank you. We take three more. We take three more. We come this way. We go. Yes,
thank you, Leader. My name is Oyunan Ponsa, and I work with Adoption. My question relates from the third here. Even though Speaker Barbin cited evidences of these MPs reported to have vacated their actions, wouldn't it have been better for the Speaker to have heard from them before acting? The argument of the fact that they acted for nothing because officially they have not received letters from their political parties.
Thank you very much. Next.
I want to find out if the unlikely that the Speaker decided to uphold the Supreme Court decision, what would this do?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Next.
Thank you. My name is Kweku Sekida. I work for GhanaNDC.com. My simple question, I'm a bit worried. This particular parliament started with the fight. And
started with what? Okay.
And looking at where you are going before the lifespan of this parliament, and you end with the fight.
No. If we are fighting against poverty, corruption. Thank you. The last one, then the leadership will talk.
Thank you. Leader, your colleague Makin argues that you made a statement and that decisions are taken if it is a motion and yours was a statement. So the Speaker's ruling is against the orders of the House. What is your response?
Okay, let me start. As always, I'll be starting. Colleagues will fill in. Thank you very much for the questions. Let me start with the one from Adom FM, Adom TV. These persons in question, the four former MPs, they were in the House, some of them. They have representations as leadership. They are either with the majority or minority. None of them denied the fact that they have contested as independent candidates or have moved from independent to a political party. So what else do we want the Speaker to do? So, and the evidence are out there. They are colleagues. We know they have contested. It's a matter of fact. So it's not something that someone is sitting somewhere and concocting a story or as such. It is a matter of fact, and they could not deny it. To date, they've not been able to deny it. Number two, you raised the issue with what my colleague, Honorable Afenyo Maken, apparently may have said. I doubt he made that kind of pronouncement, because obviously it is not up to him to interpret the standing orders of the House. He can speak to it, but the decision is not up to him. It is for the Speaker to interpret the standing orders of our House. So you can rule him out of order with what he said. And then the last one, as to whether we will fight. The only thing we'll fight has to do with the fight against corruption. We'll fight corruption, but we'll fight. We don't intend to fight in the chamber. We don't intend to fight. We only fight corruption and protect the Constitution. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you.
Just to add to that, if you notice on that fateful day of the beginning of this Parliament, it was government that ordered the military and the police to enter the chamber and assault members of Parliament. Indeed, my colleague, Honorable, our colleague, filed a motion for those individuals, of which we have details of those military officers and what they did in the chamber. But I can guarantee you it's not yet sunset on those issues. Just to add, we are aware that between yesterday and today, some elements of government have had a meeting again to deploy the military to the precincts of Parliament to enter the tent. We are aware of that. We can just ask those around the Accra Sports Stadium that at a point in time tomorrow, they repeat the same misconduct. We can guarantee them the people of this country are sovereign. If you wear a military uniform or police uniform, you work to the Constitution. But they should be aware that the life of this government is less than 2 months. They will have to account for their conduct in 2020 and whatever they do tomorrow. But they shouldn't be surprised the people of this country would react forcefully to any misconduct of anybody in uniform on Tuesday and beyond. Thank you. We take the last batch of questions, if you have any. Yes.
Last batch. And then after that, we'll do the three versions.
Leader, Tuesday, both of you are returning to the chamber. I'm talking about both sides. And of course, the decisions are varied. Doesn't whatever happens on Tuesday rest with the Speaker? Do you have indication as to how the Speaker will allow things to pan out? Because the decision as to whether what happened at the court holds or doesn't rest with the Speaker. And what will be your expectation of the Speaker?
Thank you. Next question. Should we say that's the final question? Yes. Before we do that?
Yes.
Okay. Look, I'm not the Speaker of Parliament, and I cannot preempt the Speaker. I don't know his intention. All what I can assure you is that the NDC majority believes that we are the majority, and we'll do just that. We'll protect what has been given to us lawfully. Nothing more, nothing less. Apart from that, let's wait for the Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, yes, our colleague, the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Amako Kibwa, will do a short account rendition.
Me body tough on the crowd. Majority Leader, I can say 4 members of Parliament, Honorable Kwachiaka, Honorable Asante, Honorable Mambe Morris, and Honorable Andrew Esiema. 4 members of Parliament, I call Honorable Esiema, if independent, I could join MPP, were filing. 3 other members, no, if political party, do more filing independent. Yembra no, ye wonu constitution no. Article 97, 1 G and H. HRS omu yesa no HRS say omu advocate omu seat na speaker nso wo mu tumi say otisa say oma yeti wo parliament wo hwe ye standing order na enu nti na speaker tutu saa na mo me speaker ye ni nyina ewo mra kwan so say na so ye na ba no saa no nti no ama yen NDC fu ana ye minority no se sia ya ye majority ye ho adoso ase MPP fo wo hwemra mu no a te sia no che se ye oha aduasansia na MPP fo ye oha aduasa enum ama yen akoye majority na saa majority na ye mra kwan so na de ama yen na nya de a ye betutu mu fom se de leader kai no ye be gina say ye majority ni aye niema majority ye be ye niema ebeboa Ghana man na ye ma obia emetietia ye mfa ho di so ye gidi say speaker ni decision na o make you no e mra kwan so obia entumi nsisa no na ye be gina say ye majority going forward medamas na ye majority nso ye nya no ye bebo modern say sa amerikito ye de be ye niema bia ye nim say ha Ghana for example tax how many yen bibi to say ye levy bibi say betting tax ye be to an more didn't 10 tema make sure say sa amra ni nyina ya sesa na ama Ghana ho ato
okay
yeah
question. We want to thank you
The majority in Parliament has just addressed the press conference to set the records straight. As far as the majority is concerned, the ruling that the Speaker still
that's the
And you're still live here on TV3, and that was the press conference addressed by the leadership of the NDC Caucus in this 8th Parliament, Dr. Kesela Tufor, flanked by Emmanuel Makofibua and Gavin Kwame Agboja. They're going to cross over back to that particular venue in Parliament where my colleague Eric Mauna is covering this for us here on TV3 and across all media channel platforms. Mauna, what's been happening, the reactions as we speak now?
Revolution has a long way to go, but it's time to see. Thank you very much.
let's try and get a few reactions in terms of what it is that has happened today here and now.
The live coverage of that press conference that was addressed by the leader of the NDC Caucus in Parliament, Dr. Kesela Tufor. He's been forcefully making that point that as far as the NDC Caucus in Parliament is concerned, they are the majority of this 8th Parliament, and he premised it on a number of things, to the extent that the notice of poll published by the Electoral Commission does indicate that indeed the decision by these persons to go independent have actually been captured, plus the decision by Andre Siama, the former member of Parliament, to contest on the ticket of the NPP has actually been captured and published by the notice of poll by the Electoral Commission going into this election, thus defeating that argument that their decision impacts on a future election. Also, the decision by the other three also has been published and indeed acknowledged by the notice of poll by the Electoral Commission, Kojo Asante, and then also Cynthia Morrison, and then also you have the NDC member of Parliament who decided to also go independent in specifically the Western region, and all of that has been played out as we speak at the moment. They also make the point about the effect of the Speaker's decision tilting and in fact flipping the leadership of this Parliament to the NDC becoming the majority, because now effectively they have 136 seats, and then also the NPP having 135 because they have lost 3 seats based on the Speaker's ruling and decision 3 days ago. Also, they make the point about any interference will not be countenanced and accepted by anyone or any other person in uniform. In fact, Gavin Kwame Agboja makes that claim that they are aware that there has been a meeting between the elements of government and some persons in the military to allegedly disrupt the sitting of Parliament on Tuesday. He references the tent because, as we do know, the Chamber of Parliament is currently being renovated, and so Parliament has so far, since they resumed, been sitting at the Accra International Conference Centre. That's where that tent that he refers to is located. And he says that they are aware of a meeting between government and some element of the military to disrupt that. That's one thing that we're going to keep an eye on as well. He calls on Ghanaians to support the Speaker of Parliament to execute the rule of law. And then they've already given a clear indication of what they're going to do with the majority status that they have. One, they're going to introduce a private members bill to remove the e-levy and also the betting tax. So they have served notice already of what they intend to do with this majority status. And these are the two bills that they, in fact, the tax bills that they intend to have it removed. And this is a matter of political, as it were, implication, because both John Mahama and Dr. Dramani, that's also Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, have both promised that they're going to remove the e-levy and the betting tax. But Joseph, let's go back into how the numbers look and the representation per the argument of both sides right now.
And so there are two views now, and we know that the Parliament, as we've had it constituted since 2017, this is how it has looked so far. And we've tagged this as before declaration because this was how the seats looked before the declaration by the Speaker of Parliament. And so before the Speaker made the declaration, the NDC had 137 seats, the MPP 137, and there was one independent candidate, Andrew Esiama, who is the MP for Fomena. And so depending on which school of thought you believe in, this was what we've been running with for more than 3 years now. Now, the Speaker of Parliament did make a declaration that changed the situation and brought about this particular makeup. And so the NDC had 136 and the NPP 135 with no independent candidates. And we had earlier explained to our viewers that, look, there was no need for a by-election because per the Constitution, when it's less than 3 months to a general election, you do not have to conduct a by-election when a vacancy occurs. And so those are the two views that we have. The problem now is that the Supreme Court on Friday basically restored the situation back to this position, saying that, look, per what has been carried out by the Speaker in Parliament, was appropriate that he had held on to, knowing that there was a pending case. And the Supreme Court basically restored the parliamentary makeup to the situation that we had from 2017, where the MPP had 137, the NDC also 137, one independent candidate. Now we've heard the NDC say that, look, they are not working with this. They are still sticking to what we have in this particular situation. We know the MPP, on the other hand, have also indicated that they are also not working with this arrangement. They are also working with the previous one. So the question that is on the minds of everyone, if you are wondering, is what is happening on Tuesday. We've seen this play out before in the very early days of the Parliament. When the election of the Speaker took place, we saw that the MPP side had made a point that they were the majority. The NDC had also said they were also the majority. And so eventually we know that the Speaker of Parliament did come in and declared the MPP to be the majority by virtue of the fact that the independent member of Parliament, Andrew Esiama, was caucusing with the MPP. And so that was what restored some calmness in the system. And so once again, we all know that it may all come down to whatever decision the Speaker of Parliament will take on Tuesday, with the reason being that both sides of the House have decided to insist on holding the majority. And if that is not settled by the Speaker of Parliament, then they may have to settle it on their own. And clearly, they've taken entrenched positions, Alfred.
Let's go back to Parliament, where Gavin Kwame, who is a member of Parliament for the Adaklu constituency, is speaking to Eric Maiwona-Egbeta for a quick one. We'll hear from him now.
If government doesn't bring that, but for attempts to reduce, you might struggle to outrightly remove these taxes. How do you respond to that?
No, there's nothing in the Constitution that says we can't do that. That we can reduce, we can't increase. That is basically what removal of e-levies reduction is not an increase. We are not imposing tax on anybody. It is we are removing tax, so we can do that. In any case, you remember sometimes when they bring appropriation bill, we can take things out of it.
Outside of that, there's a concern of the numbers, 136 as against 135. They make the argument that you might not form the clear majority based on the 275 original constitution of the 8th Parliament.
Very good question. That is why we said that the new composition of Parliament is no longer 275. The physical number of people in Parliament now is less by 4. So the calculation in terms of a clear majority would be the people available divided by the number you need to take a decision. So that doesn't even come into question.
So you will be able to carry out...
136 is the new majority, 135 is the new minority.
Concerns of chaos continue to be raised. I'm sure you've attempted to respond to that.
The only chaos would be when our colleagues who are in the minority now refuse to accept that they are in the minority. You understand? This is quite clear. The interesting thing is that no member of the media is denying the fact that these 4 colleagues actually have filed, which is the basis of what the Constitution is talking about. All of you have confirmed that our colleagues have filed and they have crossed the line and they are in breach of Article 97(1) G and H. So that is not in question. That is why some people even query what some of the things that they claim came from the court, which I'm not aware. So there's no problem about fighting. Nobody is going to fight. You and I know where the majority sits in Parliament. But the majority sits where? On the right-hand side of the Speaker, and then the minority sits on the left-hand side. Is that not the case?
You sit on the right-hand side.
Let's get to the House, so we shall see what will happen.
Thank you very much. That's the majority whip speaking to us at this particular point in time, and the details really laid quite bare what to expect on Tuesday. All eyes will be fixated on what happens on Tuesday following this particular address, and Governor Kwame Agbodza making his way out of the auditorium right now where this news conference just happened. Like I said, the expectation and all eyes will be on Tuesday, October 22nd, where the House will reconvene, and then we can get an understanding as to really what will happen. They say that they only receive official communication on all matters from the Speaker. They are not aware of any such ruling by the Supreme Court, which has stayed the Speaker's ruling on Thursday, and so we wait to see. But right now, I believe there will be a lot of confusion in the minds of people watching at home. The big question, who is the majority, who is the minority? Well, that's a question that possibly could be answered on Tuesday when the House reconvenes, and the direction of the Speaker, most importantly, will be crucial in determining the way forward. Back to you in the studio, Alfred.
Eric Mawana Egbeta there. So it's quite clear the indication of what the direction is for the now majority caucus in the 8th Parliament, as has been forcefully put out this afternoon by the NDC Caucus in Parliament. They're quite clear in their minds that based on the fact that all these 4 persons who have 3 of them giving indication that they are actually contesting independent, as has been captured by the notice of poll by the Electoral Commission, plus Andre Siama, who has decided that he's going to contest on the ticket of the MPP, now also captured on the notice of poll, then there is no basis to contest the decision as was communicated by the Speaker, Peter Kwachaka, Memphis Central, and then you also have all the other 2 persons, and I mentioned earlier, Cynthia Morrison and Kojo Asante, who have all declared their intentions to also contest as independent candidates. It is on the basis of this that the question about quorum comes through as to whether, Joseph, that communication that because of this majority that we have, we are going to use our majority to have the betting tax and the e-levy tax removed. Can that be done?
I mean, we are getting an indication from the interview Marina had with Governor Kwame Agbodza, the kind of interpretation that the NDC wants to use. And it's a very interesting view because there are 2 quorums that we deal with generally in Parliament. So there's the general quorum for transacting business and there's the quorum for taking decisions. And so in terms of the quorum for transacting business normally, it's 1/3 of the members of Parliament. And if you are interpreting members of Parliament to mean how Parliament is constituted, that is 275, then that comes to 91.6. So obviously we'll say that, okay, maybe 92 members of Parliament. The NDC number is way beyond this, so it's not going to be a problem to form a quorum to carry out parliamentary business. This is where the problem comes in terms of voting, because if they are going to take any decision on be it e-levy or whatever it is, they would have to vote and take a decision. That says half of the MPs must be present. That is 137.5. Again, this is because we are looking at in terms of the members of Parliament being 275. But you've heard Governor Kwame Agbodza make the argument that they are interpreting it to mean how many members of Parliament exist currently. And as far as they are concerned, the number is 271 and not 275. That will mean that they will need a little above 135, and they have 136.
Absolutely.
So that means that they, in their opinion, will be able to form that particular quorum to take that particular decision. And so all these are matters that are very debatable, and unfortunately, this was not a matter the Supreme Court settled when Justice Abdullahi vs. Attorney General case, which had to do with the approval and rejection of budget, went over to the Supreme Court for determination. So there's still that lack of clarity about when we say half or 1/3 of the members of parliament, are we referring to parliament as constituted by 275, or we mean the current numbers in terms of the members of parliament, which is not 275, depending on which view we hold?
I mean, well, certainly it will be 271, depending on how you look at it. And obviously because of the current state of affairs.
Yes.
Now,
but if you had to go by way of what the Supreme Court has restored, then we are back to 275.
Absolutely. And it was quite clear when the question was asked as to whether what was going to be the reaction or the response of Parliament to the Supreme Court's decision on Friday. You heard the Honorable Mama Yariga, who's a Boko Central Member of Parliament, gave an answer to that they are not aware of any law to suspend the decision of the Speaker. And then also the Supreme Court can make a declaration of whether an act is consistent or otherwise with the Constitution. They do not have, or they are not clothed with the powers and jurisdiction to suspend the decision of the Speaker or the decision of Parliament to that effect. And to that extent, the NDC Caucus will act only on communication from the Speaker and not through the media or social media for that matter. So their stance on this matter is really quite clear, and how things are going to play out as well. And the question about why they seek to benefit from this, they've already indicated that with the commentary that the Speaker gave, he was quite clear as to why this was the right path to take. And let me just remind you that this is one that we're going to keep an eye on and do a lot more analysis on this. And the conversation continues across all media journal platforms. Stay with us on News 360 at 7 p.m. today. And throughout the week, beginning tomorrow, this is going to be a big one for us here across all media journal platforms here on the Your Election Command Center. And then also that indication, the claim that was made by Governor Kwame Bojai earlier, they have information that there are some persons within government who have had a meeting with elements within the military to disrupt Tuesday's sitting. It's one that we're also going to keep tabs on as well, and keep you up to speed every minute of the way. So stay with us here on Your Election Command Center. And then also, we do apologize once again for the interruption in your Sunday current affairs program, Hot Issues. We will make some reaction and also some provision for it as well at 10 p.m. today. Make a date with Kemini and the former Deputy Attorney General, Dominic Ayeni. Hot Issues will be played at 10 p.m. today, right after the mentor program. So please make a date. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here. I am Alfred Okanse.
I'm Joseph Akable.
Have a good afternoon.